Good morning, everyone. We're having a few technical difficulties. My internet is completely down at my house, which is fantastic. And hotspots only power so much, apparently not enough to get Zoom live onto the internet. So this is recorded, but we are going to be able to move this forward and we'll upload it. So you won't get us in real time. And I apologize for that because this would have been a lit conversation with comments in the discussion. So I do apologize, but I am so excited this morning to have my coffee, which is not strong enough this morning, with my friend Aquene, who is an absolute queen. Good morning, Aquene.
Good morning, good morning.
So we were connected through the amazing people at Paramount Pursuits. Both of us have started a program within their business incubator. So shout out to Trish and Rick and Lisa and Marcos. They are all amazing people. Shout out to Tammy with Circles. Really amazing people that are connecting small businesses. And Lisa is my personal business coach, and she was talking one day about some small businesses that I should connect with. And she's like, do you know Royally Fit? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh my God. And starts raving about these candles that you like burn, but then you can put on your body. I was like, what kind of kinky mess is this that I'm going to pour like a candle on myself? And she's like, no. And so I was like, okay. So Aquene and I connected online, and literally from probably our first message, it became soul sisters. And so we met for breakfast one morning. It was like we'd been friends for years. Absolutely. It was so comfortable. We started having conversation, and the waitress came over 4 times to ask us what we wanted before we even had looked at the menu. And she's just like, I mean, it's great, guys, but like, do you want to eat here? We're like, oh yeah. And so I say all of that to say that it's her personality is delightful. She's amazing. She's an entrepreneur. She's a visionary. She's a mother. She's a teacher. She's an educator. She's a community interjector. And I mean that in a positive way. So Queen, tell us a little bit about Royally Fit and why it started and what you do with it.
So, wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Tori. So, Royally Fit is a holistic health and wellness brand. We provide solution-based products, programming, and services for whole body wellness, and really want to advocate being fit in every aspect of wellness. And I'm getting my coffee delivered to me now. Thank you, baby. So I'm now equipped with my coffee. Cheers. And so we really advocate being fit in every aspect of wellness. We facilitate community wellness programming in a preventative manner, in a mobile manner for historically disadvantaged Black and Brown communities here in Pittsburgh to support those various aspects of wellness. Thank you, honey. So that's what Royally Fit is and does in a nutshell. We have a ton of different products. As you said, our massage butter candles are a fan favorite that everybody loves, right?
I keep mine on my desk. I have the lavender one, which it has real lavender and crystals in it. And I usually light it in the morning. Today was just a rough morning, but it kind of gets me started. I love having the flicker of a candle in the morning with that morning light working. It just sets a really calm pace for my day. So it makes me really happy. And when I'm stressed and I just need a little bit of calm, I just scoop a little bit out and put it on. And then because it's so rich in oils and it's so rich with the lavender, it is so fantastic. And it's shea butter, so it's like really good, all natural. And I don't want to say we're that family that we're like the organic only family. We are not, but I am very thoughtful in the products that we put in our bodies and on our bodies. So even moving towards like natural and clean makeup, like non-animal tested products, I like to be able to know the first 4 ingredients in anything that I put on my body or in my body. So supporting a small business that is their absolute goal, that everything is like the lavenders from your garden. Like I love that. And then I grow lavender. And so I added a few little pieces of my lavender into it as well to give it a little bit of a spike too. So I absolutely love that there's this sense of from like earth to table to my table. You know, we
Yeah.
talk about that food to table concept, but for our products and our natural products to be able to have that same kind of ideology, I just love it. I think that it's something that's so fantastic.
Oh,
Um,
thank
your peppermint headache roller, I swear by it. It stays in the medicine cabinet. When I start to feel a headache, I put it on my pressure points in my temple.
you.
As someone who suffers from migraines, it has been a lifesaver.
So glad.
And so there's the itch stick I gave to my friend Nicole, and she likes to sit outside, but she gets bitten up so bad. And I was at her house, and she's scratching. I'm like, here, and so she took it, and she swears by it. Like, she doesn't let anyone else in her family use it because it is the product that works best for her. And she has like skin issues too, so like that it's natural and it works well for her is absolutely important. So
I'm so
I
glad.
I've been gifting your products to people to try out, and your rose lip oil and your candles and your scrub. I don't know. I'm a fan of all of the products are in my house. I didn't realize how many I had until I was like looking at something, and I was telling my cousin about your candle, and I'm like, oh, here's the sage one. I'm like, oh, but here's the lavender one. Well, here's the love on top one. And she's like, I mean, did you buy her whole store? I'm like, I could.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet.
But I love knowing that I can go to your shop and find multiple products that support multiple entities in my life. So your magnesium oil, which I'll let you talk about because I don't think a lot of people understand why magnesium oil is important for your body.
Right.
Braxton, my son, is almost 3, and you're going through a toddler sleep regression now. And so, you know, we did the oils, we did the sound machine, we did everything you were supposed to. And someone suggested magnesium oil on feet because magnesium oil, and I'll let you talk about why. But, anyways, we put it on him and he knows that it helps him. So the days that he's, you know, really kind of struggling with like after the bath time, put the oil on his feet, put his socks on, and he does have remarkably better sleep that night.
Oh, that just makes my heart so happy. That makes my heart so happy. So that's the heart and soul behind Royally Fit is, you know, really providing not just any products, but solving problems for people. And these are all things that I was doing for my family. And Trish actually was like, why are you not selling these things? Like, why is not a part of what Royally Fit is already doing? I was like, oh, huh, okay. It just never dawned on me. I'm a migraine sufferer. I've been having chronic migraine since I was 9 years old. And the doctors could never figure out what the heck, like why, you know, my doctor still is like pushes me to get Botox, you know, injections and things like that, because they can't find any other solution for my migraines. And so I started playing with aromatherapy and essential oils to try to solve these issues because I don't like needles. I didn't want to have to go get Botox. And so I started playing with aromatherapy probably, oh my gosh, I was in high school, like, so maybe 2005 or somewhere 2006, somewhere around that time frame. I really started becoming aware of holistic health and wellness and the effects that aromatherapy, magnesium, you know, lifestyle choices really have on our body and the way that we feel, the way that we think, the way that we function. So that was really where like our headache healer came from, was a combination of really my own need and fear of needles and wanting to find a solution to that. So I started playing with different blends of essential oils. I started combining magnesium oil in there because magnesium, another thing that it's great for is helping to relieve and reduce the amount of migraines that you experience over time. So magnesium is just phenomenal for the body for so many different reasons. It does so many different things. It supports so many different functions in our body. And according to the World Health Organization, this is like one of my favorite statistics to throw out because it's just so shocking. according to the World Health Organization, 80% of adult Americans are magnesium deficient. 80% of us, like that's almost everybody. Like
Yeah.
Everybody needs magnesium to be able
Mm-hmm.
to eat better, to have less muscle cramps, to experience less migraines, to, have more energy, just all of these different ways that magnesium supports our body. And if you just think about by doing something so simple as spraying it onto you every day, and
It's crazy. And if you put it on your feet, it goes through your feet faster. And that's why we do it at bedtime. So our routine is, the bath, and then he gets ready for bed, and your lavender pillow mist goes across the bed. When I change his sheets, I like put that on the mattress protector first, and then when he climbs in, right before he gets into bed, I do a little spray. We're an aromatherapy family as well. When Braxton was little, he had really bad allergies. We thought it was because he was allergic to the cats, so we rehomed the cats. And he just always had a green snotty nose. And the doctor kept saying, well, things aren't developed. It's so small in their head. It's this, it's that. And so you hear those conversations and you're like, okay, he'll just work through this. And a friend reached out and was like, no, like my son was the same way, and it led into like lung and breathing issues. Have you thought about switching to natural cleaning products? Many of the cleaning products that we use have so many chemicals that their little bodies literally can't handle them. And I was like, what? Like, no, I'm cleaning my house to make it better for him. And she's like, no. We switched our laundry to Melaleuca laundry. Yeah, and within 2 days, well, literally overnight, a green nose went to just a runny nose, and 2 days later, there was no runny nose at all anymore. And so, literally, we've been doing this now since maybe pre-COVID, so January or December. And since that point, like the only time Braxton has a runny nose is if he actually has a cold. It's not the continual rubbing. And I mean, clothes were gross. He was gross. He constantly had ear infections. We don't have any of those issues. So using the clean products, the natural products, he has a diffuser in his bedroom that we use every night, lavender, eucalyptus, tea tree, and lemon. So he gets the cleanse, the sleep, the breathing, and the disinfectant. And I swear by that blend every night. I put it in. I am faithful. When he's in the tub, I load up his diffuser, we get it started, and that's now a comfort smell for him. And so I'm a huge fan of the aromatherapy. If you can see behind me, my diffuser's back there. I love citrus, and so in the mornings, to give myself a little bit of that extra pep, I create like a citrus blend. In the wintertime, we just pump like thieves. Well, we don't use thieves, but like the alternative to that, clove and ginger and tea tree and things like that that are cleansing. So when people are like, oh, that hippie shit, I have to laugh because it's been around for millennia, right? Our ancestors were making oils in pots and cauldrons and, over and twigs, and that's what was their medicine, and that was their pharmacy. So there's a sense of like wholeness for me when I use them, like it kind of almost connection back. Like I'm not I'm not making them like you are. I'm just dumping in.
No, but still, I agree with you so much. I feel the same way. I feel like, and I was just at, I have this conversation pretty regularly where I feel like we're getting back to this sense of like, reconnecting with who we used to be with, you know what I mean? Like, so there's an African, I guess, phrase you could say, like Sankofa and go back. And it's like the Sankofa bird it's a bird that's flying forward with an egg in its mouth, and its head is turning backwards. So the egg is supposed to be the future, and it's like turning backwards to look at where it came from in order to like go forward for the future. And I feel like we're in that space of like, we're going forward. We have like this sense of uncertainty with our future, but we're also reclaiming this sense of who we used to be in so many ways. And it's very much that for me also, like just growing. That's what's gardening for me. You know what I mean? Being able to grow food for my family was something that, and as I talked to my grandmother, she's like, I was telling her I grew potatoes in grow bags this year, and she was like, "Your great grandfather would have a fit if he knew it was that simple." You know, like you know how many days he spent plowing and cutting out, how, you know, spacing out his potatoes and going out there to check this and doing that, and just listening to her stories of how she always grew up running in the backyard and grabbing a tomato and washing it off, and now my boys are doing the very same thing. Like, it's just so cool to have that sense of like returning back to who we've really always been. Super cool.
For me, it's my bread making. It's the same feeling. Like, you
Bread
know,
is so
mine is up into like 1950. People had to make their bread every day. And until we got kind of those bigger stores and kind of like you could run to Walmart or Giant Eagle to get bread whenever you needed it, you had to make it. And if you didn't make it, you didn't have bread in the house. And we're not really a bread family. Braxton doesn't like sandwiches. So bread, in the sense of like a loaf, doesn't last in our house. So when I got into the bread making, it was more for, I love to bake and cook, and I wanted to be able to like literally get my hands in and knead and make. And I just feel like bread making is such a lost art, and it's all chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have enough yeast, it doesn't rise right. You don't have enough this, it's not the right temperature. And there's something so beautiful about understanding that chemistry. Like, you can't shortcut bread. It shows, right? If it's not as puffy, if it's not as soft, well, you didn't do something correct. Whereas a lot of other things with cooking, you can keep adding in that chicken's not right, add a few more spices as you're going through. Once bread is baking, you can't touch it. That's it. It's done. And so there's just a sense of like purpose and time and serenity that comes into it. So at the beginning of January, and definitely at the beginning of COVID, I was making bread like twice a week. We didn't even eat it. I was packing it up and like door dropping it on neighbors' doorsteps. Like,
my kids love that with the banana peanut butter
chocolate banana bread.
They were like, "We can have this?"
And it was all natural products. So like
slices, it was thick, like a lot of it.
So I love being able to make that. And so we're growing butternut squash in our garden, and I love making butternut squash raisin bread. So I roasted it up and it's in the fridge, and I'll make the bread this week for it. But just that sense of wholeness, and like we've both mentioned our kids, and our kids are important to us. And I think it's important, like Braxton has taken a part in the gardening, right? Like watering the flowers. They started from seeds in small pots. We planted it into the backyard. So he has seen the whole process of like literally like toiling in the dirt, to watering it, to caring for it, to like, look, this is your fruit. So he gets to pick like the tomatoes and the basil and the peppers and the zucchini. He calls it cuccinis.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, his cuccinis. And so, you know, I was washing the vegetables the one day, and so now he has to wash veggies. And so he pulls the stool up, and it's just funny. Like, when we model certain things to our children, they repeat it. And who knew that he was paying attention to me washing delicately these cherry tomatoes, but he got in there and was washing them himself. And then he had to wash the peppers. And I let him, and even if we didn't use them because they were manhandled and ruined, it's the fact that he had his hands on earth. He had his hands on products that he could understand. He had that connection, because when we talk about Pittsburgh, you know, we have some urban farms, but really there's not space to grow gardens. There's not, you know, porches and decks and things like that you can have multiple plants. And Soil Sisters is a great organization in Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's doing some great stuff. There's one on the hilltop that does some really great stuff. There's some other small urban farms, and I love Shadyside Nursery in Shadyside. Their stuff is phenomenal. I think that they bring and have some of the highest quality plants. I have plants lined up over here. You can't see them, my succulents, that I've bought from them, and I won't buy from anyone else because they're just so hardy. And so like knowing who to buy from. You can buy something at Giant Eagle, you can buy something at Walmart, but you could go buy something at Trax Farms or Janowski's or, you know, a Shadyside Nursery. That $4 or $5 that you spend on a succulent there is like $4 that goes back to their profit. Whereas if you buy it from, the same product at Giant Eagle, the person who sold it to them might only get $2.
Right.
So it's even being able to invest your money appropriately with the small businesses. Obviously, both of us are big, huge small business supporters. What are
and
some
I swear,
small businesses?
I'm sorry. I was going to say something.
Oh no, you say your thing.
And I swear by the Soil Sisters seedlings. So this year, I have attempted to grow a garden. Oh my gosh, this is probably the 4th time that I've tried to grow my garden. And every year something happens, but I never get to the point where I actually like have things, like where I can actually harvest real things that I've grown. And I had one year we got close, and my now 6-year-old was probably maybe 2 at the time. And it was a pepper plant we had in our windowsill. And he came by and he goes, "Oh, mommy, look," and like picks it. And I was like, "We grew something." And he was just so proud of the fact that but then we never you picked it, bro. So we're not growing anything anymore. And that was like the last ever grew. This year, my garden has flourished. I have some of everything. Like I'm growing watermelon, I'm growing pineapples, I'm growing and things that are still my garden's not even winding down yet. I thought it was. My landscaper picked up, I had cucumbers growing and they were trellising out of my garden bed, and my landscaper picked up the vine to cut the grass, and all the cucumbers stopped growing. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. My son really wants to make pickles. And so I was like, oh, he's not going to get to make his pickles. I'm feeling so badly. The Soil Sisters came over and looked at my garden, and they were like, oh no, it's okay. Stuffed the cucumbers back into the ground, covered it with more dirt. I now have cucumbers growing again.
We have pumpkins, and it's the greatest thing ever, and we love being able to see them grow from a blossom. And what's crazy is that we sometimes consume these items, but we have no idea how they grow or how they look. So squash blossom flowers are gorgeous, and I didn't have enough time. You can actually eat the squash blossoms, and there's some really great food that comes with it. And I haven't gotten to that point yet where I use everything off of the vine, but even being able to see, it was about 5 or 6 weeks ago, our backyard looked like it was like Alice in Wonderland. There were these big, huge, yellow flowers. We had sunflowers, the tomato plant. And so, Braxton loves Halloween. So pumpkins were really big for us. So we have 2 that are growing, and they're orange. So we'll take them off the vine soon. But those are 2 pumpkins that he's grown and he's watered. And so
how great does that feel to just look out there every day, walk out there and just, walk through your yard and see how empowering for you and for Braxton, right?
Well, and so it's also became my mother's thing. And so she would go out in the morning and she would water and she would talk to them, and I would weed and, help maintain, and then Braxton would water. So it became a family thing. It wasn't just one of us. And so the first time we really got a lot of cherry tomatoes off the vine, I made, and I have never done this before, I made my own pasta sauce. And we had a friend coming over for dinner that night, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to taste, and I don't know. And we devoured it. It was so good. And I was like, I literally grew what I'm eating from a seed. And there was such a sense of
awesome
and empowerment. And it was wow, this wasn't a lot of time. It wasn't a lot of money. It's just like anything. If you can check Instagram for an hour every day, you can go outside and
water your garden.
And so,
and how many lessons is that too? That's for us, a lot of how we kept our kids engaged over the summer. So there wasn't that sense of learning loss. They learned so much through the garden, like you're saying, watching it go from a seed. And I have my older 2 are 11 and 6. And I, it made them in charge of one entire raised garden bed. And so it was their job to, it's growing up too high and we can see the roots. Okay, we got to cover it with some more soil. Well, what do you get? Oh, we got to put the fertilizer in it, whatever. And just watching even and understanding the anatomy of the seed, the fruit, the plant, it's such a teachable moment. There's so many teachable moments. Just in,
even just the
so
care. Well, and even just the care of the earth, right? Like Braxton was doing something and he was like digging, and I was like, no, you don't want to hurt the plant. Like, and he goes,
Right.
why? You know, any typical 3-year-old, why? Well, what did the plant do to you? He didn't hurt you. Like, we have to love it. We have to be gentle. So even teaching like gentle touch and like, you know, things like that. So
So much.
he loves flowers. He loves plants. He buys my mom fresh flowers at least once every 2 weeks. Like when we go to the store, he's like, Juju needs flowers. I'm like, she does. And so I don't even care the price. He picks them out and he brings them back to her.
Just melt my whole heart. I just love Braxton.
And so you know, like he understands that like flowers make us happy and flowers are pretty. And so I think that those innate humanistic skills are so important for our children. I can't guard everything that he watches or he hears or he learns, but I can intersect ways that you can be kind, whether it's to our earth or to each other, or, you know, buying flowers for someone. Now he is great because sometimes he'll say that she needs chocolate and he wants to go to the chocolate store around the corner. And he always picks out really good, expensive chocolate too. He has really great skill of like, not the $10 chocolate, but like the $25 chocolate.
He's gonna make somebody an awesome husband one day. Like,
you know what? He
flowers and a chocolate.
He's so caring. But that's important. Like emotional intelligence
Oh my
is
gosh.
important for us.
Oh my gosh.
It's important for our children. I think in a society where we see so much violence, where we see like Braxton currently loves PJ Masks. I hate PJ Masks. I think it's there's no learning lessons. It's literally kids just whining. Look, I can do this better. No, I can't. Okay, well then there's no lesson learned. And it's the same 3 superheroes and villains over and over again. I'm over it. But, you know, you're still fighting and wrestling and toughing, and it's not like the shows of old, but still, it's just like, you know, last night he wanted to rough and tumble, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, you're a horsey, get up and go. And he's like bouncing on me. I'm like, I am not a horsey. We are not getting up and going. You are too big for this. And so how do you counter those conversations? And it's by like books, like here's a great one, like Will You Be My Sunshine? I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
My Sunshine. I Love You Just Like This is a really great one. It's by Elmo. And so like we counter books, and so I switch out 15 books every month, so he's getting different books. But you know, like,
okay, Mama, good for you.
well, I just think that there's certain ways that we need to reiterate certain messages to our children, because, you know, they model and they see other kids do things, or what's on TV, or what's at daycare, what's in their neighborhood, what big brothers or sisters are doing. And sometimes you have to remember that their little minds can't always connect why they're doing the things that they're doing. And you would say like, oh, well, they're misbehaving, and that could not be the case. They don't know that that's not the right behavior. So you model what is the right behavior. So I love you and you're amazing. When I take Braxton to daycare every morning, I hold him and he snugs in really tight, and it's my favorite part of the day. And I tell him, you're so smart. Mommy is so proud. You are going to learn so much, and you are going to be the best boy today. Have a great day, and mommy loves you. And then we get to the door and he's ready to go. And I think those positive affirmations, he might not understand the words that I'm saying today, but in 10 years, those words have lived in him. So they're going to be right there where he's like, well, my mom's proud of me. Like, I'm smart. I have the capability. I can do. And
when somebody else comes and tries to counter that, and you know, because kids are mean and they're like, oh, you're stupid. And he's like, no, I've been smart my whole life. Like, I've been hearing this every day. Like, you know what I mean? He has that sense of confidence in that. Like, no, I know that's not what I am. Like, I know I'm smart. Like, I know I'm a good boy. I know I'm going to learn. I'm going to have a great day. Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah, I think those are positive ways. And I've seen you do that too with Layla, who is just a dreamboat. I couldn't wait to get home and tell my mom about how like in love I was with her. And how was. but like even ways that like, you know, when she was sitting there and eating and, you know, typical 2-year-old, you know, it's too hot, it's this, and you're like, no, you're fine, like eat this. Even being able to have those messages of like, it's okay, like it's hot, it's fine now, you're good, like try it, you're brave. I think just different ways and words that we incorporate for our children really do change their perspective on what they have the capability to do.
Absolutely. 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 I agree with that.
So I want you to tell people how they can buy your products so they can be on the crazy train with the rest of us who like, it's funny because like some people have to convert buyers, and I don't think you have to convert buyers. We almost become like a cult. So like other people who have your stuff, we start to talk and it's like, oh yeah, don't you love? And oh yeah. And so, you know, it's not converting people, but like how can people come and buy all the goodness that you have?
So, well, our website is www.royallyfitllc.com. Royallyfitllc.com is our website. And we're on all social media platforms, also Facebook at Royally Fit LLC and Instagram at Royally Fit LLC. Also, you can follow us there. Yeah, those are our two major platforms, you know, other than our website. But I'm always pretty active on both of those platforms. We have a lot of community events that we have going on, so you can stay updated on the things that we have coming up, and you know, avoid shipping costs by coming to an event and getting products, because we know those UPS prices are going up. So yeah.
So tell me, I know you're doing a pop-up event tomorrow. I can't make it, which I'm really sad about, but tell us about your full moon event that you're doing.
Yeah, so tomorrow is full moon market and meditation. And it's really just another opportunity for us to connect with the community and for the community to have an opportunity to access free wellness programming where they are. So we'll be in Mellon Park tomorrow from 5 to 9 p.m. And Mellon Park is on the corner of 5th and Penn Avenues in like the East Liberty area. And so we'll be doing some earthing, really connecting and regrounding ourselves right there in earth and in nature. And then we'll do a healing circle, which is exactly what that sounds like us sitting in a circle and having the opportunity to discuss our feelings and checking in with each other and traumas that we may have experienced and ways to heal through that and heal past that, really for our emotional well-being. And then we'll do some Zumba in the park. And then we'll close our evening out with some moonlight meditation. And there are a few other small businesses that'll be there, wellness businesses, where you can come and support and buy their products, their wellness supports, meditation supports also.
Fantastic. So if you're near the city or you want to get to East Liberty, it sounds amazing. And earthing is, I think, a concept that a lot of people maybe didn't know the word, but they know the concept. So when I'm really anxious and I'm stressed, I'm a barefoot baby as it is. Yes. I have hardwood floors in my house, and I notice that like I take my shoes or socks off and I just like need to have that feeling. Or if it's warm enough outside, I will go outside and I'll like literally pace my yard and feel like the grass between my feet.
Yes.
A beach, sand, like come on, give me water, give me sand, all of that. And so it's I'll say it this way, elemental magic, but not in the sense that it's magic, but that it brings so much back to you. It's almost like magic, like, wow, I put my feet in the water, I put my feet in the ground, I feel better. And it's because you're giving and taking that positive and negative energy, and you're just like kind of flipping it around. And you think of our kids when they go outside to play and they come back in and they're happy. Well, because they've been outside. It's not because they're playing, it's because they're outside.
Right.
And so, you know, we're enjoying some crisp fall weather right now, and this is the perfect time to really kind of go out and enjoy some of the fresh air, enjoy the leaves falling. The next 2 weeks are going to be like the best times for the leaves changing. And so even being able to take a drive and go and walk a different park, like COVID has taken so much away from us this year, where we've had to be in our homes. We haven't been able to connect with people that we want to. Our stress levels are changed. Our poor children are adapting in a world that, you know, we don't know what's going on. So how are they supposed to?
Right.
So before we end up in the winter time where we have to be inside, I personally want to take advantage of like every weekend, the late nights that we can. We're staying outside until like 7:30 when it starts to get dark out. Even if it's just walking in the neighborhood or playing or sitting outside and drawing or whatever the case may be, because there's going to be a point, and it's going to be sooner than we think, that we can't go outside. You know, we're doing the penguin shuffle from our car to the house. Like, and if you have kids, inevitably one is stuck in the car or one lost a shoe or wears a toy, and you're just like, it's -20. I mean, it's not. It feels like it, but like
right. Absolutely, I hear you. And that was our thought process behind even, you know, utilizing the parks right now, being able to connect as much as possible before we're not able to connect. Because unfortunately, in this COVID world, there's so much uncertainty with once it starts getting cold, which can happen at any point in time here in Pittsburgh. But once it starts getting cold, who knows whenever we'll really be able to see each other again.
Right.
Outside of Zoom meetings and, you know, and I hate to say that with like, you know, a sense of like, you know, sounding so pessimistic. But it's just so much uncertainty, right? Like,
well, Allegheny County has the rate in the state for infection of COVID right now. I mean, the national average is 4% and we're at 19%. And so, I mean, we're like almost 5 times the amount in our city for people having COVID. And I think if you go out and about, you can see why. People aren't wearing masks. You know, the restaurants and bars, I get it. When you sit down, you don't wear it. But, you know, I went into a local restaurant to pick up food the other day, and there was about 15 people at the bar, and they're all sitting right on top of each other at the bar, and nobody had a mask on. The bartender didn't have a mask on. And like, I hesitated to even take our food home because it was like, well, if you don't have a mask on, does the cook have a mask? And I see back in the cook did have a mask on, so I felt a little bit more comfortable. I won't buy from them again because I don't know where you are. Like, if you don't respect your patrons, you know.
And that's the thing; it's going to end up hurting these restaurants and you know, bars more than helping. I think they're so anxious to try to get some of the business, to recover some of the business that they lost, which I understand, right? Like, I'm a small business owner too. COVID hit us hard. I get it. But at the same time, you can't compromise the health and safety of your patrons, of your customers, and their willingness to do that, even if it's just on the surface level, or even the appearance of their willingness to compromise on some levels. Like you're saying, has you like, yeah, I'm not going back there. And I'm not the first person I've heard that from. Stories like this, which means like folks are not going to, like, I think very quickly going to be, you know, pulling back on how much they're eating out or going out.
Right. We've only eaten out once, and it's because we wanted really good Mexican food and we were out, and that restaurant was very safe. Tables were distanced. Every single person was with a mask on. They even asked us if we were like just sitting and talking to wear our masks. There was no menus. Everything was electronic. So we were really satisfied with that. But I mean, we have a toddler. We're not going to restaurants anyways, because like that's just a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
We do like to support local in the sense of like once a week ordering takeout from somewhere and picking it up or getting it delivered. So I wanted to mention too, one of the reasons why people aren't wearing masks is that they say it hurts their ears. Well, buy one of the gaiters that you like literally just like slip over your head and you can pull up, pull down. We have a few of these for Braxton, and he likes them because he can like just kind of take it off and pull it up or whatever. But you know, and I also understand that some people have health concerns and can't wear masks. My grandmother has COPD. The mask causes her anxiety because she can't breathe fully. She already has a hard enough time catching her breath. So she has a hard time going out, A, because she's immunocompromised. But when she does, and if it's slightly humid outside, she has a hard enough time breathing with humidity than a mask. I know that there's been times where my anxiety has flared because I've been hot and breathing and whatnot. And it's like, oh, okay, like I just wish I could take this off. I don't want to wear a mask because I want the normalcy of life, right? To me, it has nothing to do with like, this is, penetrating my rights or anything else. It's just literally like, that's one more thing I have to remember. It's one more thing I have to do. And I just don't want to, like, I want to be able to see people's faces. I want to see smiles. I want to wear lipstick and not ruin all of the inside of my masks because they're all covered in red or pink lipstick.
That's my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Having to I'm like, wait, did I wear this mask? Is this clean? Oh, let me see. Is there lipstick on it?
I'm so used to wearing lipstick that I put it on the other day and went into Walmart and put my mask on, and I'm like, you dumb shit. Like, you put me, like, literally in the car, reapplied my lipstick to put a mask on. And I'm just like, oh, you dumb shit. But I mean, we have to keep the lipstick industry still in business, so we got to wear it sometime. But
right, and you think about how oftentimes you just see folks in passing and you just smile, like just give them that pleasant smile as you're passing them. And I'm like, I did that the other day. I was like, wait, I have a mask on. Like, I hope she saw my eyes and realized I was just being nice. Like, I was smiling at you. But it's so, it does. I understand it obstructs the life the social aspect of life that we're accustomed to living. But I mean, we're talking about, and whether you believe it's real or whatever your thoughts are on COVID, at this point, people are really being affected.
Yeah.
Regardless to what the cause of it is, whether you believe it's a conspiracy, whatever, but like, just don't be selfish for a moment. Just don't be selfish for a few moments while you're in the grocery store or getting gas or, whatever the things that you have to do.
So New Zealand doesn't have any cases of the virus anymore, and they haven't for months. Why? Their prime minister, who's a female, which we won't get into that, she set parameters, and they literally were able to eradicate the virus. And we have friends that are going to be moving to New Zealand in January for work, and they're like, yeah, like, they told us we have to quarantine 2 weeks. They provide us the place to be for 2 weeks. We get tested, and then after 2 weeks, we take the test, we wait another day, we get the results, and if we're free and clear, then we move on with our life. If we're not, we have to stay quarantined longer. But like, from literally the airport to their home, they're like escorted, not privately, but like escorted to make sure that they're in compliance or whatever. And it's like, wow, such an easy system, right? Like, you maintain where people are coming and where people are going. I'm not saying we need to shut down our lives, that you shouldn't travel, you shouldn't see friends, you shouldn't see family. I have friends and family that I dearly miss, that I want to see. I miss going to church in person. But we have so many people at our church who work with the public, who are essential workers. We have someone who's just traveled across country. No, not for at least 3 weeks. Am I going to come when I know that you're there? Because they were in the state of Wyoming, and guess what? Wyoming has a huge outbreak right now. So they're a little behind the times.
It's not worth the risk of not being able to see your grandmother, or you know what I mean, like.
Or what do we do with this sick kid that, even if COVID doesn't hit him hard, what do we do with him when he can't breathe, or he's coughing, or he has the fever, or whatever else?
Exactly.
When you run a small business, like, you want to take care of your kids, but if your kids are sick for 2 weeks and they have to be home, and we did one COVID test with Braxton, there was concern that he had it, and we were at Children's, and the whole process was extremely scary. And it was extremely difficult on him. He had to get a chest x-ray, he had to have the swab. Like, none of it was fun. It was all invasive. I don't want him to have to do that ever again. I mean, it was painful for all of us to watch. It was painful for him. It was scary. I mean, he's little. He doesn't understand why someone's doing the things that they're doing, even though we're telling him why they're doing it. But I can't miss 2 to 3 weeks of work.
Right.
There's no PTO time for an entrepreneur.
Right.
There's no understanding when a client says, I need this, and you say, I'm sorry, I'm home with my sick kid. They're like, I mean, okay. Then
so when am I going to get that?
Right. And so, I mean, there's no days off. There's no sick days. There's none of those things. And people will say, well, you get the freedom to do this or this. And I do. I get a lot of other freedoms, but I also have to hustle twice as hard for every single freedom that I get. So if I want
people
to
don't understand that, yeah, you work 60 to 80 hours as an entrepreneur to be able to afford to, take Braxton to the pumpkin patch on a Thursday afternoon.
Correct. No, 100%. Or even being able to say, you know what, I can take half a day today and I'm going to do self-care. And so I'm going to get a pedicure, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to get a massage. Well, guess what? I did a massage one day. I had lab dolls come into the house, which she's fantastic, Takia Wormsley. And I had them in at like 11 o'clock in the morning at my house. I took Braxton to school, came home and worked the 2 hours. I did my massage, which was an hour, gave myself a half an hour, and then went back to work by noon. And then also stayed up that night and did another additional hour. So like, yes, I had a great massage in my home and it was relaxing, but I still flexed all of those hours in other ways, shape, or form.
The work still has to be done. It doesn't change the amount of work you have to do.
No, I can't tell you how many emails I've answered with a sleeping baby in my arms. I can't tell you how many nights I've rocked Braxton to sleep and have been in the middle of doing something on my phone and just hold him.
Baby like this, and your phone's over here, and you're scrolling with the baby. I just did it the other night.
And so, I mean, like and I know that that's not indicative of just women who are entrepreneurs. It's mothers in general. We multitask, but I started hiring out some of the things that I just realized I couldn't do. So I hired a handyman to help with some things. I have furniture that needs built. And I was like, when am I going to do this? I need this. I need to move this. And it was like, I have someone that can do it. And what I'll pay him is far less of an equation than me missing half of a day, not doing it right, getting it done wrong, etc. Hello, baby girl. Hi.
You gonna say hi? Wipes. Yeah, she just woke up. Right. Mm-hmm. So the other aspect of her, struggling with our sleep through the evening is that she's just now getting up. Right. Huh.
Good morning, baby girl.
Say buenos dias. Right. No. Okay. Besos. No. None of you. And and I think that's the other part of entrepreneurship is that you're able to take a moment, because my baby just woke up, and that's my priority, versus having to be on somebody else's clock and being like, oh, I can't do, and I have to, because taking care of my children is, at the end of the day, the reason that I do everything that I do, whether it's working for somebody else or being an entrepreneur. At the end of the day, if I can't take care of my children, all of it's irrelevant.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way. I cram as much in between 8:30 and 5 o'clock as I can, because the minute I go to pick up Braxton, unless I've scheduled a talk or something that I have to do in the evening, he gets mommy time. I don't answer emails. And I had a client say, you didn't respond to my email over the weekend. It was the weekend.
It was the weekend.
I don't have to. You're a prospective client and I'm interested in you and I'll provide you services, but you're going to learn my balance very quickly.
And my boundaries.
So you in need of an answer because you need to know isn't going to work for me, right? We discussed on a Friday, you sent over a document, it needed to be reviewed. Whether I told you Saturday or I told you Monday doesn't matter, because it can't be processed till Monday morning either way. So you saying thanks for following up in a sarcastic tone, guess what? I still haven't looked at the document, because you'll have to understand that if you want me to provide the services to you because you need my intellect, my capability, my capacity, it will be on my terms. And that's not a power hold. It's literally setting that boundaries of, I can provide you everything that you need and do it well and do it efficiently, but you'll have to understand that after this time into this time, I don't answer calls. This same person wanted to set up a Zoom call at 10 p.m. because that's when they had a moment to fit into their schedule. And I was like, no. I was like, absolutely not. And he's like, well, it'll only be like a half an hour. No, that's 10 o'clock. I I don't want to talk to anybody at that time at night. If I'm not
Exactly.
taking a phone call from one of my girlfriends, I'm sure as heck not going to take a business call that night. And
Exactly.
I lived that lifestyle for 10 plus years. And and the reason why I left is because work never ended. Work doesn't end now as an entrepreneur, but it's my own entity, it's my own capacity. If I'm sitting up late at night thinking, it's ways that we can build and grow, not worrying if this person got this and if this person got that and what did they think and I have this deadline and all this other stuff. My stress level has decreased like tenfold. My skin is glowing, like I am happy.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that ties into being able to set those boundaries, those non-negotiables, and knowing that everything that you're doing ties back for one exact reason. And so on the wall behind my desk, I have 2 photos of Braxton. And that reminds me every single second of the day of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. It's for him, it's for my mom. It's so, self-care Senorita started out of this concept of like, I was burnt out. So how do we help other people not burn out? And it's understanding balance. So it's grounding, it's having these great candles, it's finding balance, it's remembering that, our kids are only little for so long. So like, I don't want to go to 15 networking events a month that takes up
Right.
40 hours because that might sell one more client or it might get me into another space.
Right.
That 40 hours can be spent with my kid that I'm not going to be able to get back. And when he's in middle school and doesn't want to talk to me or look at me, that's when I can spend the 40 hours with other people.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%. And I feel the same way, as by profession, I am a high school English teacher. And, that was and that was like the struggle for me whenever we chose to, my Layla is our 3rd child. And so when we chose to have her, it was truly a matter of what was I going to prioritize, my family or my career. And while I love being a teacher, I miss it so very much. You figure I had 138 students. If I assign a 3-page paper, that's a week of my time just grading 138 3-page papers. My children were coming to school with me on Saturdays because I was covering Saturday detention. And then, I would stay in lesson plan because it was the easiest day to access the copier when there weren't, other teachers trying to get in. And just all of the different aspects of what I was doing that I loved. I loved being a teacher. But everything that came with it, I didn't love. The workload that came with it. And I felt like I was sacrificing the quality of a parent, of a mother that my children were,
Mm-hmm.
the quality, like, I didn't feel like I was a great mom because I was sacrificing how much time they had access to me to allow 138 other students, other people to have access to a great teacher. And while being a great teacher is important, I only have one chance at being an awesome mom to my children at the ages where they are. Like, there will always be more children that I can teach. There will always be more lives that I can impact, but all about being able to wake up to my daughter, in the morning, or to be able to take my son, last year, my 11-year-old went to his first dance, and to be able to be there with him through the whole, excitement of it all and getting him dressed and, just all of the different things in ways in which otherwise I would have been grading papers. I would have been, I would have been chaperoning a dance at my own school and not able to attend, or to pick up and drop off and see all the excitement of it. And if everything that we're doing, if the point of working is so that we can give our families this great life, I can't miss out on the quality of life that they have.
Absolutely. I was cranky and I was tired and I had a short temper and I wasn't sleeping and Braxton wasn't sleeping, and it literally felt like we both love each other and loved each other, but it just felt like sometimes where it was just like we were battling and butting heads.
Yeah.
And my mom is like, you have no idea, like you can literally feel the tension on your body and the baby can feel that. So like, why is he cranky? Because like he feels that energy coming off of you. And it was like, my baby is having a hard time. His belly hurts because he's anxious because of the energy that I'm putting off. Ooh,
Right.
talk about mommy guilt. You're like,
Guilt, yes.
you're like, what the F? And so
Yeah.
at that point, I reevaluated and it was like, like he's not going to grow up knowing mommy is always tired. Like, oh, I can't do that, baby. Like, I'm too chubby or I'm too tired. I'm too this. Like, I don't want any of those excuses for him. I want it
Right.
to be like, you want to go outside and play? Like, let's go. You want to play football? Let's go. Want to go for a walk? Let's go. And I don't say that because like, oh, he's spoiled, he gets whatever he wants, but like those experiences and engaging with our children.
But
Yes.
he should, but why shouldn't he get what he, I hate when people say, like, why shouldn't he get what he wants? He's 3 years old. He's a kid. Like, and life is hard enough as it is that, like, our kids deserve to have awesome childhoods that they look back on and it's like, man, my mom grew pumpkin just because I loved Halloween. Like, man, and then you think about the sweet things that, like you said, he makes sure that what 3-year-old is sitting out here like, Juju needs some chocolate. Like, why should
Exactly.
what the heck he wants? Like, he should get what the heck he wants. Like, he's the sweetest little boy, and he's thoughtful, and he's working on even the different things that, like you were saying, that where he struggles, and you're working with him. He's doing well in so many aspects of, and life is going to be difficult enough. I feel like our children, like, it's okay to spoil our kids sometimes. Like,
I think the concept of spoiling has been ruined because we think of like PS4s and these big trips and cruises and things like that. Braxton is 100% spoiled in the sense that he gets love and experiences. We're doing a pumpkin patch on Saturday. We're doing a different one on Sunday. He's doing Zubu, so he gets to dress up. We're doing a Halloween birthday party, like things that he loves that bring him joy, right? And not materialistic things.
Wrong with. And listen, if every once in a while it's a materialistic thing, so what?
Oh, he loves him a good, those like squishy things. He loves squishy things, and he's now gotten into stuffies. He doesn't want to hold them or cuddle them. He loves like them almost playing and interacting. And so he asked for a kitty cat the other day. Believe it or not, we couldn't find a kitty cat stuffed animal anywhere. So I got him Catboy from PJ Masks because I'm like,
he's probably so happy.
And he likes kitties. Boom, it's the same. And I brought it home from the store and I gave it to him and he was like, okay. And he looked at it and I thought, this little bugger, like I thought I was so clever. And then like 2 hours later, he like took it and it like had to go to bed with him. It goes to school with us in the morning. And so like, it's like his toy. So now I feel better, but it was just at that moment, I don't know, he must've been like, I can't let her know I like it.
Right. When I feel like, listen, my boys have PlayStations. They have PS4s. Like, now they're not allowed to sit on them all day long. Like, you know what I mean? We regulate how much they're on them, but my boys are great kids. Like, my 6-year-old brought me a cup of coffee this morning. You know what I mean? My 11-year-old just came and took my 2-year-old out of here because he knows mommy's busy right now. Like, why should they not have a few extra things that they really enjoy that make them happy? You know what I mean? Like, I regulate what they play and how long they play. And you know what I mean? Like, all of those things. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, and I don't think there's anything wrong with going on vacations and, what choose to do, especially when, like, my kids are so respectful. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir. And like, they're great kids. I don't think there's, and I always say, you can be spoiled. You cannot be a brat. Like, you
Correct. But I also think it's the balance for the families because everybody has their own sense of what spoiling is, right? And what that means. So we are wonderfully spoiled by people that love my son. My sister just sent him like 4 Halloween shirts and a Halloween like sweatsuit just because he loves it. And she's like, oh, there's like 2 more packages coming for tomorrow. So he literally has so many Halloween clothes that for the month of October, he can wear a Halloween shirt every day to school and we won't repeat.
How awesome is that?
And it's because people know that that's something that he loves. And he wore a skeleton shirt today. He's like, oh, I'm a skeleton. And so like that sense of thought and love, like she spoiled him, but like the amount of joy that he has today, he's going to look down and he's going to point out that he's a skeleton at least 3 times.
All day long. Yeah.
3 times. So I think that like you can't overspoil with love. You can't overspoil with prayers. You can't overspoil with compassion and support and like even inspiration, you know, like being able to get him, you want to be a farmer? Cool, here's a chance. You want to do gymnastics? Cool, let's do this. You know, he's really big for his age and everyone's like, oh, he's going to be a great football player. Okay, but he could also be a scientist. Like he could be
right.
Like just because he's big or he's brown and he's big and he's brown doesn't mean that he has to be in the sports field. He could be absolutely anything that he wants. If he wants to be a mechanic, cool. If he wants to be a stay-at-home dad, cool. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what he wants to be. I've changed careers 4 times. I've reinvented myself 4 times. You have reinvented yourself.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think we need to normalize saying that. And also, and I don't think there's anything wrong with sports, playing sports. I love watching sports. I was an athlete all through, you know, middle school, high school, college. You know, my husband was also, so we are big sports advocates. Our kids play sports also. But let's stop telling people that they're going to be basketball players and football players and things like that. Because number one, even if they are great athletes, so very few people make it to that level. Number one. Number two, not just like maybe that's not their jazz, and that's okay. Or I have really big boys too. My 11-year-old, our discovery this week that I was like amazed by. My oldest is 11. We wear the same size shoe. Like, and so, you know, with it being COVID, I've been, you know, we haven't really been going like to the mall and things like that. So I have been ordering him shoes, and we got maybe our 3rd pair this week that doesn't fit. Like, I'm like, why cannot you not fit these shoes are the biggest kid size? Why can't you fit these shoes? And I'm like, let me just see something real quick, because I when I can't find like my little flip-flop slides to go in the basement or the backyard or whatever, I throw his on. And so I was like, let me see something. I put his foot in my tennis shoe, and like he has like this much room to the top of the shoe. Like, bro, really? So we'll just order my size shoe, and then it'll work.
Shoes that fit.
Yeah, he's 5 feet tall, but we're not going to keep telling. And his pediatrician says she expects him to be at least 6'3". Like, he's going to be huge, but he hates basketball. Like, he plays for the socialization, you know.
And I think that's okay to tell our children that as well. You know, Braxton finds joy in running. Like, he runs everywhere and he's fast. And the joke is that he's fast. And so when he gets outside, he goes, Mommy, I go fast. And he like takes off, and like, luckily in our neighborhood, it's very walkable. So he like heads down the street and he's running, and I'm like, wait for Mommy. And there's sometimes where like, I'm at a good jog keeping up with him, because he's like, come on, Mommy, let's go. And I'm like, you keep me running, kid. But speaking of running, we have to end this time, because I know both of us have to get ready to take on the day and feed kids, and you know, another cup of coffee in route, and I have to figure out what's going on with our internet. But it's been such a joy. You can go to royallyfitllc.com to purchase your goods. Follow them on Instagram and on Facebook. Go to their website. Even her product photos are just gorgeous. Buy her products. I can guarantee that you're gonna find one that you fall head over heels with. Mine are the candles. I just think this idea, the luxuriousness of taking warm shea and putting it onto my body is just so decadent. And when I talk about self-care, and your items are going into my box, our self-care box. When I talk about items of self-care, like that's one that I mention all the time, not just because you're a friend, but because like it's so decadent, it's so luxurious, and it's something that's like affordable, right? I don't have to spend $900 on this treatment. I don't have to spend $80 on a massage. Literally, you know, an $8 candle that lasts me for how long I can take and use. And it has such I don't know, maybe because it's made with love and it's ingredients from the ground, that there's so much healing that comes with it, that I love using it because of that sense that I get from it. It's not just that it's great, but it's that energy that was put into it. I receive that energy and I take it, and I'm like, you know, I'm good now.
Oh, you just like turn me into melt me into a puddle of butter. Like, that warms my heart so much. That is truly the reason that Royally Fit exists. And I want more than, you know, everybody to buy all of the products. I want people to love them. I want people to receive the healing that, you know, is accompanying with these things. So that just makes my heart so very happy. Thank you for having me, for allowing me to share space with you this morning and chat with you.
Yes.
So much.
Thank you so much. This is Aquene Watkins-Wise with Royally Fit. Thank you for coffee and chats, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.